Hey artists, in this video we're going to talk about our Google Drawing Charizard with a shadow. So for this project you're going to use the shapes in Google Drawing to make a Charizard, and then we're going to create a shadow for it by duplicating. So start off with the oval shape and duplicate to make the belly. You can use the rectangle to make a neck. You can use trapezoid shape for the head. And then make sure that you zoom in. You can duplicate your circles to make the iris and the pupil, and then use rounded rectangles to make Charizard's horns. Remember to use duplicate so that you can work faster and smarter. So I duplicated the horns and rotated them to make his arms. And then once you make the arms, you can duplicate that to make the forearms. And then use those circles and turn them into the legs using arrange order send to back to make them layered. Also duplicate to make some hands. Don't forget that Charizard is going to need a tail. You can use polyline or you could use the triangle shape for this one. And then make sure that the tail is layered behind by using arrange order send to back. I use the right triangle and then format options to flip the right triangle to make both of the feet. And then when I add the claws, I make sure that I just duplicate and flip and rotate so that I can create the claws for both hands more quickly. Once I created most of his body, I started to use the lightning shape for the tail. And so duplicating and resizing the lightning shape for the tail made it so that it had a little bit more depth and dimension to the tail's flame. So once you have most of the body done, if you want to start adding color, you can start adding color to your Charizard. And when you go to color your Charizard, if you press shift and click, you can make a custom gradient for his body so that his body starts to look more three-dimensional. So use those custom color gradients to make your Charizard's body look more three-dimensional. And keep recoloring his body until he looks more realistic. I also duplicated the fingers to make the toenails, his little toe talons. And then flipping them to make the other one helps you make the Charizard symmetry more faster. Then I used the custom color gradient to make a flame for his body's tail. You might have to change the angle of it so that it looks more interesting. Don't forget Charizard has wings. You don't have to make both wings. You can just make one wing and then duplicate that wing so that way you have symmetry in his body. I like to use the format options to use the flip horizontally option. So I made a new gradient for the inside of his wings. I flipped it over and then used the keyboard shortcut to move it to the back. Sometimes I like to use the arrow keys to make everything look nice and neat. I added a background color, and then we're going to work on making the shadow. So select everything and you're going to make it black. Then move it to the back, so that's going to be his shadow. This is where you get to start tweaking and playing with the composition to make it more interesting. If you make some mistakes, just undo. Also, you can use arrange group, so that way the Charizard's body all stays together. So again, duplicate it, make it a group. You can touch up any last little details that you need to touch up. Like I needed to redo the claw. Then I made his shadow underneath. And then the last detail that I like to add is some ground so that it looks like he's like flying and the shadow is on the ground below him. I can't wait to see what you create for your Charizard art project in Google Drawing.